Okay, welcome to what we are calling Test Automation Live. I will first briefly introduce this thing that we do. First of all, I want to introduce you to the concept of make-believe labs. So make-believe labs is a fictional software development house or digital agency that myself, Lisi, and Vernon Richards have constructed in order for us to do meaningful full-stack practice projects together. This is like a construct that we then build some projects on top of. The idea is that it can more closely resemble real life situations than ad hoc individual sessions with individual practice kind of apps that already exist. And as part of it, we're building together a project called Project Snack Shop. As we build this, we are on a learning journey together to deliberately practice. And today we're giving you a sneak peek into our learning journey, and in a hope that maybe we can inspire and support your learning journey along the way. A quick note as we do our automation and our live learning journey in front of you today, this is not intended as a tutorial, although feel free to join in the chat and follow along at home if you really desire to do so. And we're not promoting ourselves as experts who are preaching best practice. This is a genuine part of our learning journey, and we're genuinely going to be following the challenges that we have today in order to improve the genuine testing on the practice app that we're building together. And that practice app is Project Snack Shop. So Project Snack Shop is based on a brief from the owners of a fictional real-life bricks and mortar snack shop. And they want to take their business online. And Make-Believe Labs are working hard to build a proof of concept that we hope will then be carried forward so that we can win the tender and build a more comprehensive service for the snack shop later on. And I would like to hand you over to my colleague Lisi to give you more of a technical overview of what we have been building so far.
Thank you, Ben, for the introduction. So now you'll become a bit more familiar with Project Snack Shop as we go. Of course, you'll see a lot of it also now hands-on. But upfront, what we have right now, it's built based on 3 services. One is the web front end for users to interact with the shop. This one is using React as a framework. It's written in TypeScript. Then we have connected to that front end, we have a back end for front end, which is often called a BFF, which is basically serving as our one public gateway and orchestrator to accept all the requests coming from the front end and then see where to forward them. Right now, we only have one backend service running, but of course there are plans to extend that further, so that BFF will then really serve as an orchestrator accordingly. So that one backend service that we currently have connected, this is a Kotlin service, and it is writing to a MongoDB. So that's basically our tech stack for that proof of concept that we're going to build on. Right now, this is a walking skeleton, as we like to call it, because all those components, they're running on their own. They're also integrated, so they're running together. They can collaborate already, but they're minimal. They're basically like literally a skeleton. You'll see when we get into the hands-on part. So it is walking, it is still a skeleton, and there's a lot more work for us to do. And that's also what we have at play today. But before I go into what's next for us, what do we want to work on today, I'm going to also share with you in the chat the link to the source code so that you can also have a look if you'd like to check it out. As Ben already mentioned, you're welcome to follow along or just follow along with us. There's also options, of course, to take things done separately at home. Again, this is meant as a practice project for us, but also for everybody who could use a similar full stack practice project because we felt there's a need. As mentioned, we have prepared a set of challenges for today, which are genuinely challenges that we face at this moment in time, and we have not done them. We prepared up to this point, so you'll see very authentically how we're going to deal with them. I don't know either yet. That's the fun part in that. They are also representative of some challenges that we have seen being used in interviews. So hopefully there's an overlap there where people can make use of them. They're also committed to the repo. So again, there's also a chance for you, if you'd like to take them, see how you would deal with them at that current state. Absolutely welcome. And as Ben already said, well, we don't claim to be experts. We're on this learning journey just as well. So if you, as our audience, have any kind of suggestions or advice to offer, feel free to put that in the chat. I'll keep an eye on the chat so we can also include your contributions as we go along and tackle those challenges. Again, this is completely voluntary, but feel free to help us out whenever you feel there's need for it. All right, and then before Ben will start sharing his screen and get you all that sneak peek of what we have, those challenges that we have 4 of them prepared. We'll just go through in order. The goal for today is not to complete all of them successfully. I mean, it would be nice if, but that's not the goal. The goal is to just genuinely work our way through and see how far we get and hopefully learn something together. And hopefully you can also take something with you from us doing so. So you can see the challenges now on the screen. Let's maybe first check in for everybody here in the call. Is the screen clearly readable for you? Shall we increase the Zoom size? Because we're absolutely happy to do so. If there's need, please give us a shout. So far I see thumbs up and it's good.
Good, yep.
All right, so far. If at any point in time you feel like, can you increase a bit, just let us know. Again, I'm going to keep an eye on the chat as well. So you might have already have a sneak peek here, because that's about it, what we're going to say to introduce things, and then we're going to dive right in, unless, Ben, I missed anything.
No, I think that was great. So I have a question for you, Lisi. Shall we read through the challenges then start the timer, or are we including reading the challenges as part of our 1 hour time box? Shall we do a once through read and then start?
Yeah, let's do that, so people are not anxious about reading them all on their own while listening to us. So
okay, I'll very quickly try and read these out. These shouldn't take too long. So challenge 1 is: a senior member of the team has reviewed the tests and has questions their validity. Can you take a look into it? That gives us so much to do. Challenge 2: I've just looked at the latest code coverage report for the BFF and discovered that snacks doesn't have much of anything covered. Can you please check? We need to increase our code coverage. Okay. Challenge 3. Janet said Playwright is the new hotness and installed it. Too bad she's a contractor and already gone by now. The team is unfamiliar with end-to-end testing for the front end. Can you please create an example that they can build on? Okay, that's great. And challenge number 4. We're dearly missing faster, more granular feedback when working on the front end. The team is thinking of adding unit tests, yet lack the experience and struggle to get started. Can you provide a starting point for them? Okay. So let's make a genuine start. And I'm actually going to start a timer. So yes. Let us try, see if I can get this to work. Hope that is the right format and that gives us a minute. Okay, so it's the timer thing that I'm using is clearly not let's try that. 1, 2, 0, 0. That could be better. So for an hour. Okay, if the timer doesn't work, it was a gimmick. We'll figure it out.
Exactly. We'll keep another timer. That is not. So as you can see, we're generally starting this. We have prepared, but we haven't done the challenges, including this, which is just making it more authentic. So Ben, don't worry about this one. I'm going to just keep an eye out on a separate timer so we don't have to worry about finding a better extension.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm actually going to disable that because it's going mad. Okay, if anyone in the chat wants to, go away. Okay, not happy with that. Never mind. We'll start a different timer.
I'm going to start a different timer, and isn't that already representative of everyday work, where we feel like, let's just do this, and then you get down a rabbit hole? We're not going to do that now. No squirrel.
Okay, let's jump in. So, a senior member of the team has reviewed the tests. So nice and vague there. It's actually not show. We're not even going to get to figure out. So we have to figure out which test it is, and questions their validity. Okay, so Lisi, all of the three different things: the back end, the BFF, and the front end. Which of these do you want to start as checking for validity?
Let's start with the back end.
Okay, let's have a look. So I'm going to go to source. We have a test folder. That's a good start. We have a test. Okay, so I see what they're saying. there is nothing here at all. That's not completely true. There is a example that isn't filled in. So I'm just going to make sure I can run this to show if it passes or fails, so that as we maybe write this out, we know, it's like shop end.
And while you're doing this, it does look to me like just coming from the Spring Boot starter template, not modified at all. So I think, that skeleton is quite minimal here. Definitely needs some love.
Okay, so the next question is going to be, shall we write a test? I mean, in terms of the challenge, we did take a look. The first thing we looked at is the back end definitely needs test coverage. There isn't any. There's two ways we could tackle this. We could either look at also the other two services. I don't know where my challenges went. We can look at also the other two services and see what their coverage looks like, or we can start by trying to write a test and see where we get to.
I'd say let's first take inventory, not taking too long for that, but still, because the part is here, if we stay in the backend for a moment, is there actually any crucial logic that's missing?
Good question. Let's see. Where do you want me to look for the logic? Main Kotlin?
Yes, exactly. And you can see here, in the control is the entry point, but maybe let's have a look at the service, where you usually have a lot of the domain logic, if there is any. So let's see what we have here.
Have an order service and a snack service and an implementation of each. So let's have a look at the order service. Okay, there isn't much in there. Is that because it's the implementation file I need?
Exactly.
Okay, there is slightly more here.
So we know it's connected to Mongo. This is basically using default functions to get the items, in that case the orders, from the database. So we already know, we can retrieve orders. Seems nothing else here.
Okay, let's have a look for snacks.
So here we have two, it seems. So we can also get the snacks, so similar to the orders, but we can also add a snack. So latest here, I would say like, let's take note. Even though these are default functions so far, I'm pretty sure they won't stay that way. So in the future, near future, I will add some tests.
Okay, so add snack and get snack looks like a good place. If we wanted to add code, we could make a start there. That sounds good. Shall I very quickly have a look at the front end?
Yes, let's look at the other side of the end-to-end, basically, in that case.
Oh, sure. Sorry. Should I start in the BFF first, or?
No, that's fine. Let's
Okay.
check out the front end because, well, as we're working on this, we know it does need love as well.
We do. And actually, I'm going to shortcut a little bit because we've been working on this and say we have here an example from Playwright that Janet so kindly left us on the other challenge. And we can have a look at, well, we can have a look at that, but this is really only the default example that's installed. There isn't actually anything there at all. So we don't have a test. That looks like just that we got from installing Playwright. And we don't currently have any, what's test examples? I think that might also be Playwright. That's also Playwright. So we don't currently have any unit tests on the front end, which I think is also another one of the challenges. So perhaps that's not unsurprising.
Yes. So what about the BFF? Are we doing any better there?
Well, we have a test
We also
folder.
have a challenge following up on that. So let's have a look.
So let's have a look. So we have two different ones. We have app test, which I think app is the default thing that comes from installing. So by the way, we're using Nest.js as our technology for the BFF. And this is actually a hello world test. That's great. Okay, so it's probably not that one.
No, definitely something we should question to keep it or not, because obviously this is a proof of concept, but some things don't have to stay in a proof of concept.
Okay, and this looks like it is at least a default test that's for a particular. Oh, actually, no, this has got something. So this is actually a test. So we've got. You must have written this. I didn't. One of our other colleagues must have definitely done this. It wasn't me. So here we have something. Okay, snack controller E2E, snack service equals get snack. Okay, so here is definitely something.
Yes, but let's see what it actually does. So what is tested here? So what we see here is in line 15 in the before each preparation, we do override the provider of this component here and replace it actually with, like in line 16, use instead a mock. So we already know that this part, like it's called an end-to-end test, which is often so vague anyway. And we like, I don't know about the event, but I had to clarify, like, what kind of ends are we talking about here? 100 times, 1,000 times? Which is a crucial conversation to have. What is intended and what do we mean by end-to-end? Because it can mean so many different things. What we already learned here, it's not end-to-end in the sense of everything's included, because we already see one, the service is definitely mocked.
Yes, so there's definitely some ends missing. Have some ends of burnt cake.
Yes.
So okay, so we have something there, but then that's a lot of setup. I'm noticing that's a lot of setup, and the actual test is still just get snacks. So that we saw earlier, there was add snacks on the back end. I'm not sure we've got add snacks yet on the controller on the BFF. I actually genuinely forget. So we could check that out.
Yes. One more curious thing here is also, I mean, one part of why the mocking is happening here is that you can deterministically expect an assert for what we want to see, but it literally only, it does. So again, end-to-end is quite misleading because it literally only checks if the controller gets something back from a service that we mock.
Right.
The thing back that we actually say there is.
Now I know why one of our challenges is these are not very valid tests. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is let's write some notes to quickly note down what we've done under challenge 1. So I'm going to put that the back end has only an empty test, nothing useful yet. The front end has Playwright installed, but no test that exercises the snack shop at all. The BFF has one test using a mock that we could build on and improve.
So for the last sentence, let's have the BFF has one end-to-end test. Like, just let's keep that naming because
Yes.
that's what our fellow teammates used, so we can stay in that context. Because we haven't seen everything of BFF yet.
That is a very good point. Using a mock, I will say that that covers getting snacks. I'm actually not going to keep the comment about improving on it. It's like, yeah, well, all of it we can improve on.
Yes, this is also part of what we mentioned in the beginning. This is definitely something in evolution, in development, as we often have it, also in real life. Nothing perfect.
So let me, if you don't mind, go back to reading the challenge again. So we've reviewed the validity of the test. And I think it's really important to note that a huge amount of test automation isn't writing code, although I do want to get to some code. Are we happy that we've attempted challenge one, or do we feel like we should do more than this?
I think there is one step missing because we haven't looked at the actual implementation. We just stopped at the end-to-end.
Good point.
There might be more tests.
Okay, direct me. Where am I looking? Which service?
In the BFF, in the source directory.
Okay, let's have a look.
We can actually see.
Oh, hello.
There are more spec files. So it seems we have some unit tests. So let's include that in our review as well. And that also then hopefully rounds it up for our audience as well to get to know what we currently have in that walking skeleton.
Okay, now I know why you were being careful to make sure we were mentioning E2E test before. So, okay, and it looks like this, and I've seen this in Nest.js test before, this is a test for the services showing that it should be defined. So we're setting up the service, we're doing a lot of dependency injection, but all we're really saying is the service is definable. It's not actually testing any logic.
Yes, it's basically also stuff that always comes with setting it up. And I believe we have the same in the Snacks controller spec.
Snacks controller.
Because I remember a teammate complaining that it doesn't have any coverage, right? So, yeah, okay. So
should be defined.
Here, okay. Not so much. What about the orders? Do we have more there?
Order controller. Okay, we actually do. We do. Okay. Quite a bit, actually. Okay, this is more. This is more. So, describe, find. Oh, and just by the way, thank you very much for the pairing here. And I just want to give a shout out that if I'd been doing this task on my own, I could have easily missed this. And this is one of the joys of doing things together. Okay, so this does way more. Find all. I want to see if this runs. How do I run these tests on the BFF?
So if you're in the directory, then you can just run npm test.
npm test, okay.
Because these are running in Jest. For anybody who's not familiar with Jest, this is, I mean, currently we're not in watch mode, but also whenever we want to now work on something, we can also have them running in watch mode.
Okay, so we have 9 tests. That's pretty good.
Well, depends on what they do, right? Because we just saw at least 2 of them that just said, like, okay, component is defined, and that's it.
It covers the code. What more do you want?
Exactly. And also, I do see that people already noticed we do have those squiggly lines as well, right? So definitely some formatting, some types probably not defined, some...
Yeah, let's see what they say. Do you see that on the screen if I go over this?
Yes, we can.
So that's giving us a thing. I wonder if that is because it's going over the line break.
Yes, that's the formatting one. So let's do the quick fix and hopefully also
fix all pretty.
Let's do that. So
that's loaded. That's brilliant. Okay, we added value. I'm saving that.
Yes.
It's actually way more readable now. Now I can see what it does. So let's read it. So describe if order exists, if orders plural exist, and find all. So do we have more than one? Yes. So we've got 2 orders, and the order. So the order only has 2 things in it here. We only have ID and order total. I wonder if that's actually all we need for an order, or if that's lacking. Because where are the snacks? What is it we're actually ordering?
Yes, so the actual order has a lot more, but right now, also here, we actually mock that part. As you can see a bit further in line 34. So
right.
apply.
Yes.
So in that case, so the actual controller uses the order service, and then here the function get orders. And we're not calling the actual service because this is supposed to be a unit test where the unit is actually ending at the controller to not be checking the integration. So we're mocking basically what that service would return. It could be anything.
Okay, so all we're really doing is checking the controller makes use of the service, not that the service itself is sensible.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So room for improvement, but at least we know that this is actually called, and it does give us back what we would now expect. Not much.
Gotcha. Okay, and I've very recently been learning about just spies. So the interesting thing here is, just for anyone who doesn't know about them, is that what we've done, which if we look over here, we are actually importing the orders service. And what we're doing is we're overriding not the whole orders service, but particularly the get orders function. And what we're actually checking for here is that the orders controller really uses the get orders function, but what we're doing is intercepting that and adding in a mock response. So I quite like that format if you're really controlling, exactly as you said, a unit that stops at a certain point. So I learned very recently about this, so it's nice to see it in here. I hope I got that right.
Yes, you did.
So what more comments do we want for this challenge? So we've done some reviewing, and we can say the BFF also has some unit tests that are that use mocks to limit their scope. Covering orders and snacks.
Yes. So I think we're nearly done. Let's just have a very short look at the service test, because here we have another challenge. So that and also we can definitely resolve those prettier issues.
Let's do it.
And we'll have actually more of them as we go.
Oh, I wonder if we have already an NPM for that before we start. So NPM rollint. Let's see if we can just fix the whole. There we go. Maybe that will have worked, I hope. Okay.
So let's go to the order service spec.
Sorry, that's the order service. The order service spec is this one.
Yes. So just a brief review. So we have the same, it should be defined. We have another find all. Yes. If we go further. And here we have a bit more complicated setup because we need to mock the HTTP service, so which is using Axios. So this one is a bit more tricky because Axios is returning us an observable, which is a concept that if you've already worked with it, you might resonate with you. It's not always super straightforward to write tests that are not only passing but also can fail. I've been there, done that in the past. So this is a bit of a mixture where we have both to deal with a promise and an observable. I'm not going to use up the time to explain what observables are, but basically also an asynchronous way to get values. So a bit more complicated setup, but I think in general it's a similar situation than what we had seen for the controller. We just have does it give us orders and how does it deal with if no orders exist? So
Okay, so what I'd actually like to do is say we have appropriate mocks in the service orders. So I haven't checked snacks, so let's not to say both order service tests that mock the HTTP response. So reading what we've read so far in terms of prioritization, I'd like to give a little bit of feedback to our challenger, which I guess is later us here, and just say, so overall, the BFF has some useful coverage that can be extended, and the back end and front end have no meaningful tests and should be our focus. Now, I think that also should guide us in the rest of the challenge, that we should probably try and write something for the bit that's got no coverage at all, if that makes sense with the rest of the challenges.
I think this is a perfect segue into the second challenge, because in the second challenge, if I remember correctly,
close some things.
We have a senior teammate complaining about the lack of coverage, right? Let's see.
Okay, so that's about the lack of coverage on the BFF.
Yeah. So
even so, we've got some tests. Okay, well, let's see if we can get a coverage report for the BFF.
And then let's fix it, because now, as Ben said before, yes, part of test automation or automation in general is also thinking about the things and reviewing, but obviously also the writing part. So we're gonna get in there.
Okay, let's do this. So
yes.
Okay, this is very mixed for sure.
Yes.
Okay, so do you know what? We have this other thing called a module, and there is no test for the modules.
Nope, there's nothing. And we do what we also just saw, actually. So this is another way to actually inspect. We didn't use that before, but we do see in the snacks service and the snacks controller that we don't have as high coverage as in the other parts. Okay,
well, as the snacks and the orders are very similar, perhaps as a quick win, because we're in challenge mode, we're trying to use our time wisely.
Exactly.
Let's see if we can steal some of the orders tests and make them snacks tests.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Because we do know they're implemented similarly. So maybe we can smash this one.
Brilliant. Which one shall we start with?
Let's start with the controller one, because it's a bit more simplistic and we don't have to deal with observables yet.
Brilliant. That's good, because it's been a while since I've got my head around observables. Okay, I'm just going to minimize.
And I love the question here also in the chat. Is it even a good idea to test the controller? Yes, that's definitely a good question, because do they contain logic? This is often a question we have to navigate with our teammates as well, right? Like, what does make sense, what not? Do we task getters and setters? I mean, I think there are strong opinions on that one, so I'm not going to go there.
That's a great question.
Yes, for the sake of this challenge, I would say let's do it so we can practice.
Yes.
But it's definitely a very valid question. And also, by the way, we also implemented that practice project to also give us some examples of things, how to do it and how not to do it. So again, getting more close to real life, where we definitely try to do the right thing, but it doesn't always work.
Absolutely. And sometimes when that's the challenge, you just have to add the coverage, even so the philosophy might lead you a different path. Let's give it a go. So this is the snacks controller. And at the moment we have just the to be defined. So let's have one more look at the orders controllers.
And maybe you can view it in a split view so we can see both at once, if the space allows.
Split right, and then I'll do the snacks controller, and I'll try and make us some space.
Yes, you'll need the snacks controller test.
Snacks controller test, okay. Is that still visible? Oh, I wonder if we can get rid of this mini map. Aha, that gives us a bit more space. Okay, if you need me to zoom out to make it easier, I can. Let's have a look. So these look very similar to a point. Oh, we don't have synchronized scrolling. That would have been nice. Okay, so this is... Oh, it's got two things in it. So this actually has expect the orders controller and the orders service to be defined. So do we need to add the snack service in here? We probably need to add the snack service in here.
Well, we can first start with making it similar. But I'm also, because we will need it, like if we go the same pattern, we will need it, because as Ben mentioned before, we don't mock the whole service. So we can use the pattern. Still, is how much validity is there in a, okay, that part is defined? Definitely to be questioned. For the sake of fulfilling this exercise, which could also be an interview one, I'd say we implement it and then raise our questions in addition in our notes.
Good idea. Okay, so I'm gonna first copy the pattern. So let service snack service, and then I'm wondering if that will auto import. Not from there. Okay, let's import it. No, we have got it imported. What is it complaining about?
No, it's just not used, I think.
Oh, it's just not you. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Of course. And that's one great thing about having it any moment now being used. So here we have the before each. We probably need to add it to the before each. Yes, we do. Okay, so service equals module.get. So this is a Nest.js thing, I think, this module.get. So we're into what I believe is Nest.js territory.
Where we're no experts, so we're learning Nest.js as we go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
What I was just going to say is this annotation, for anyone who doesn't know, with the angular brackets is like the type, because we're working in TypeScript. So still, that's an interesting one. So we're doing a get, the snack service of type snack service. Fair enough. A little bit verbose for my liking. Okay, so what have we got here? So this is the one where we're really questioning, do we need this or not? Although what it will give us is expect service. Interestingly, here we've just got these called controller and service, and there you've got them called order controller or service. Do we want to rename those to have some consistency?
Let's rename them. I agree, because also if that would be, for example, interview challenge, as an interviewer, I would wonder if they noticed.
And is it snack or snack? I think it's snacks, plural.
Yes.
Snacks controller.
And this is why I love IDEs, because then you can actually use their refactoring options, automated refactoring for the win.
Yes, I would not have wanted to do find and replace that. That could have done really weird things.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So how about now?
Before we do anything else, should I just make sure this runs?
Yes, please.
I'm not going to do the coverage. Actually, I will do the coverage, because then we'll see if it went up yet or not. Although I didn't know it, I didn't know what it was before.
You still have it in the command line, so we can have a look at the last column. That's the indicator.
So snacks controller is at 75. So let's scroll up. If they still have this. Okay, so that hasn't gained me any more coverage yet in the snacks controller itself. Because all we've done is add the snacks service, but we've not actually gained any more coverage. So we need to try harder.
Yes, we need to cover the method that we have there.
Okay, so I'm just trying to get.
We can make a guess, of course, that it's also called find all, but maybe it's not. We can have a look at the snacks controller itself, of course.
Okay.
We'll notice soon enough. So
first, let me just write the test, then I'll go find that while I'm here in the ID. So it, and there's should, not should be defined. Oh, interestingly, so you've gone with a different form here, so it's not straight for the if. So we've got some more candy. So I'll write the it, but then let's see. So it should return all snacks. What's this format? No, not quite. It's got a fat arrow function. And I didn't quite get that right somehow. Yes, because the whole thing needs to be it. And like this. And then it's probably complaining that.
Yeah, that's just the.
Just some. Oh, I know why. It's because I haven't got anything in there yet, so we want it to be in line. Okay, we'll deal with that in a minute. But first, I want to add these things. So we've got these multiple layers of describe, which I'm going to copy. While I copy this out, do you want to let me know the idea behind using the nested levels of describe, why that's interesting or useful?
Yes. Also, feel free to write it out, but also if you feel that's going to help you, you feel also free to copy the other tests and we adapt it. There's no right or wrong here. It's just preference and whatever your experience tells you. So on the left-hand side in the orders controller spec right now, we see sort of a pattern, or at least I can tell you there is a pattern. In the first describe wrapper, we have just find all, which is the method that we have implemented in the controller, which is basically the one that's our target. And then we have another wrapper for describing if orders exist, which then has one test in it, which is it should return all orders. So if you read all together and also see in the test reports, it would be for that target, find all. If orders exist, it should return all orders. So it's more human readable. This is a pattern that a former team, actually, of mine, used to quite some benefit. There's a lot of opinions also around here, structuring tests and naming tests. Again, we see there was a choice made by someone. So for now, for the challenge, I would not yet break that pattern, but maybe I want to raise a conversation if I feel it's not beneficial because of A, or maybe I also say, hey, this is really great because it helps me. Praise is also always welcome. But that's the pattern that we currently see.
So I like the pattern for readability here. What I'd love to see, and maybe I think there's a different way we can do that, so we can get to that in a minute. What I'd love to see is that better described in the test report so that the test report reads nicely with that chain of thinking, because then that helps me show that test report to maybe a product person and say, this is the behavior we're testing. How do you know? Because we've written the different parts of our test in a way that makes it human readable. So I think this adds some value, but I think it adds even more value. And maybe we already have that. Maybe I just don't have the test report in the right format to show you yet. But in the coverage report, it doesn't help much. But maybe there's a different view we can get on that later. But I'm not going to rabbit hole for now.
Exactly. Right now, let's just again follow those patterns, and then we can get back to our notes once we have the first test implemented and take note of what we think.
Okay, so I've written those out again, mostly so that I could edit in line in my mind as I went things like orders to snacks rather than replacing them. Because I know for myself I risk not remembering to replace one if I don't do that. So can we do something very, very similar? Can we do a const expected result? So I'm actually going to say as well, expected result is, I have a slight problem with that naming because we are using expected result in the mock resolve value. So it's not so much as it's expected as this is the result we're, gosh darn giving you. So it's used for two different things. It's used there, and it's used again in the expected results. So we're using the same object for on the way in and checking on the way out. I don't mind that so much because this is our Oracle. We garbage in, garbage out, and we're checking the garbage is the same flavor. But I wonder if we can think of a better name for it.
Yep. I'll keep a note.
Yeah, we could just note that down and perhaps we'll come back to that. So let's see if I can get it to work first. So now I need to know what the snacks look like because that is clearly a order, not a snack. So where do we get a shape of the thing?
So for now, as again, this is not the real snack, I would suggest to just also have something similar like this. There's going to be an ID and maybe a name. But for now, keep it very, very simplistic.
Okay.
Because the actual schema and all the things like the business logic is not tested here. And to be fair, there is not so much business logic as of now yet.
Okay. I'm not sure if snack name's even one of the things we exactly have.
That is fair, but right now we're mocking it anyway. So
we're mocking it. I want to try an ID that doesn't start at 1. I don't know why, but I like that idea. Do you know what? I'm actually going to call it disgusting pie because it's a mock that disgusts me. Although I think I even spelled that wrong.
It's a G instead of the C.
Oh yes, of course.
All right. So now you have to spy on the actual method that we have. And again, I'm not sure if it's also called find all. We'll have to find out.
Good point. So that would be snack service dot. So we have create snacks, get snacks. So I don't think we have find all. I think we have get snacks.
We have get snacks. Okay, so let's rename our test immediately because otherwise it is prone to stay named find all.
Oh, right. Yes. Let me just finish the line I'm on and then we'll rename it. So hang on. Let me just read this. So just the jest line here. So then we actually have. So I've done that wrong. So it isn't dot. I actually need to do that here.
Exactly. You first what's the thing you call and what is the method of it?
Yes, because what we're actually doing here is passing into the jest.spyon function the snack service, which is the object we've got somewhere already set further up, and then the name of the method that we're wanting to override. Although in this case, by method, I mean function, because we're in TypeScript.
Yes.
Mock something. So we have lots of options here for mocking.
Yes, and we're going to use the result value because based on the implementation knowledge that we have, it is returning a promise. And we need to resolve that promise in the implementation, but here we just mock that result value.
Okay. And I guess this is already complaining that it's too long.
Yes.
Let's fix that. Oh, something still isn't quite right there.
I think we so that we're missing now on the dot ion. We can see some. Yeah, exactly.
We missed. All of a sudden, Jest went away. What on earth happened there?
Oh, we found a bug.
What?
Interesting. So I do really enjoy IDE refactoring tools, but this one didn't work. So
okay, I did something wrong there because that still doesn't work right. Okay, let's
no worries.
One thing at a time. We want to call this get snacks.
Yes, exactly.
I'm missing some bracketing. Probably is. I got a guess.
You can just hover because I think it's just complaining about the comma probably, or the linting again. So
ESLint delete Jest. What?
No, that is not looking correct.
What? Okay.
Fine too. So let's just fix the linting.
Oh,
oh wait, yeah, I see we have this here. Yeah, we have. You see that in that line now, 31. You know, see we have.
Oh yeah,
that's the one that that mixed it up.
Okay, so we really broke it.
Yes.
Okay. Tests can have bugs as well, people.
All right. Okay. So, but we're still not asserting for anything. Let's get that in. And
we also only have one snack, but I'll worry about that later.
Exactly. Right now, let's just focus on this one. See it passing and see it failing. And then we can decide next. So here's the promise that comes in. Yep.
Okay. Where does result come? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, we have to resolve the promise.
Do that first. Expect result to be. See, this is the bit that I'm yeah. Expected. Wait, hang on. Why did that not just autocomplete? What did we call expected result? I'm going to just copy and paste that. And then I'm going to figure out what I've done wrong because there's some more squiggly lines here.
You are.
Yeah, snacks. Does not. Okay, I've missed a step somewhere.
Let's resolve the quick one in the 38, where it's just a semicolon missing.
38. Yep, done.
Yes, and then what is it saying about the expected result?
Okay, so first of all, it says get snacks does not exist on type snacks controller.
Yeah, it's the wait.
And then it's saying expected result cannot find name expected result.
You know what? The get snacks is on the order service. We got mixed up here. So get snacks is the function on the order on the snack service, but it's probably
not on the snack controller.
Not on the controller. Yes, exactly. We mixed them both up, so it's probably still find all. So what do we have in the controller?
Okay, that's the snack service that we have there.
Yes, because we need to mock that. But
here,
line yes.
Here is probably still.
It's probably
find all.
Find all. Yes.
And then that wants to be find all again.
So someone actually did it consistently, which is not that bad. So we can also change it consistently if you want to.
Oh, I see. This we're in the wrong. I think we've ended the thing too early. That shouldn't be there. We somehow ended the test.
Yes.
Prematurely.
Exactly, and thanks Johannes also because he also spotted it. You spotted it already, so couldn't even
nice. Okay, but that still didn't quite do it because now we've got something left open. So we ended it too early, but then let me undo that a moment because I guess it needs. I guess that means we still need to end it here. Nope.
So let's have a look. The IDE will also tell you and help. So if you remove that one again,
Yeah.
we can actually see which belongs to which, right? If we can
Okay, yes. Let me
go
just
there. It's probably
reduce
just
that.
the last one that is too much, if I see
Okay,
correctly.
so describe. Well, hang on. So it does need to be an extra one right at the bottom.
Yes. Exactly.
But that means we need some other things to happen. So that one matches up with that. That one matches up with that. That one matches up there.
And then we have this one.
That one matches up there.
Is the rest now just... Let's use the IDE for help.
Let's see what it says. It says expect function is used every time you want. What's it say?
So
it's prettier. It's prettier. So it's the indentation it didn't like.
Yes. So we have a written test, manually written out to be careful.
Okay.
And let's run it.
That. Yeah. And we had 75 coverage before. Let's see if we've got more.
Exactly.
So I'm looking at.
Yes, we do.
We do 87%.
Okay. So
okay. We're getting better. I'm going to do a bit of a time check. We have just under 15 minutes left.
Exactly.
I think we're doing valuable things. So I'm happy for us to continue unless you wanted the opportunity to do something else. Because I know the next thing we would do here is basically copy the last remaining test. If we wanted to spend 15 minutes doing something else, this is our chance.
Yes. So before we decide that, let's take the notes.
Yes.
Of questions that we would like to raise with our team, which is going to be our future selves.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We'll need those.
Yes.
And this was challenge 2.
That was challenge 2. So first off, we had Johannes' question, which is a very valid one. Should we test the controllers if they don't implement any logic, as they shouldn't also? Because that's not the job, usually.
Okay.
Yes. And then we had the other question, what about the is defined tests? Is that really actually of value? Does it help us? Or is it just a intermediate helper to when writing tests? But is this something we want to keep and also keep running because it also costs?
And we also had the expected result. Can we find a better name for expected result for our spy on mocks?
Yes. And one note, we had a lot of prettier remarks, right? So we should, I guess, a note for us or a note for whoever works on it, run it as a pre-commit hook. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. Yes. And why we're doing these kind of formatting, linting tools, well, not to argue about those, because it's not worth our time.
Yes, exactly. Why do we do it? Is it because we love everything they tell us? No, it's because we don't want to waste time arguing tab sorts of spaces. So
now we're back to the decision point, 12 minutes.
Yes.
I would say, I mean, obviously, there's still more coverage to get out of here and also more things to improve. But I would suggest, Ben, if you're up for it, to have a sneak peek at challenge 3. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. Let me close this off. I'm just going to put,
yes, there's more to do.
Added some additional coverage to the snack controller, borrowing from the existing higher coverage tests in orders controller. There is more we can do for this that we will defer to when we have more time.
Yes, the infamous words. We'll do that later.
Yes, but when often if you were doing this either as an interview task or just if you're doing it on a project where time is tight, sometimes time boxing things and just going back to your team and saying, hey, I did this and there's this bit more to do, rather than going ahead and spending all your time doing it, gives you two things. First of all, it might be that someone else in your team fancies taking on that task now that you've broken it down to something smaller, so someone else could learn from that. Or you might have a comment from your product person saying, that's awesome, but actually I have this other more important thing. You can deprioritize that for now. Now we understand it. Maybe you want to do something else. Okay, cool.
Right.
So
challenge
3, right?
Exactly, a 10-minute time box.
Oh my goodness.
How far can we get? What did Janet leave us with, actually?
Oh, playwright. Let's speed as quickly as we can for this one. Let's have a look because we have so little. Let's go. Snack shop. Front end. E2E. We have nothing. So what I'm going to suggest is we start, because at the moment this tests playwright.dev. Because we don't have much time, I'm not going to get into how to do this nicely, but let me delete this one here and let's just see if we can at least get this working on our actual page.
So now the challenge is, let's agree for the next 9 minutes, we're cutting every corner there is.
Yes.
And let's just see what works. Like a very, as dirty as possible, get things running first and then get them running properly afterwards.
And do you know what I'm going to do is, these lovely people haven't even seen the snack shop yet. We are 50 minutes in, my friend. By the way, this is the snack shop and it's filled with delicious snacks. Oh my goodness. Okay. So.
And remember, it's a walking skeleton.
Yes.
It's going to evolve further.
Call host. So let's see if we can just get it to load the page that's already running. I'm not even going to get it to start anything. And do we even know what the title is? I'm going to load that up in a separate browser, but I'm not going to show you. It's snack shop. So that should be snack shop. If that worked, then that worked. So
yes, that's great.
I know how to run this, so I'm going to run it. And what I can show you is I have this testing tab in here, and actually I can run that and it will run the playwright. Oh, and it didn't work. Brilliant. I got it wrong.
Yeah, because
you know why?
Yes, yeah.
It's HTTPS. Brilliant.
We have the feedback. This is all. Oh, there's one more note we will need to take for our challenge 2, because we haven't seen it fail.
Oh, yes.
We haven't run it and we haven't seen it fail. I said it, but we actually didn't do it. So
when you say we haven't run it?
I know we have run it, yes, but we haven't seen it fail.
Oh, yeah, we have.
We should still check it about doing the thing. That's promising.
Not seen them fail. We should do some mutation testing.
Yes.
Nice keyword having that. Okay. So let's see if we can find an element on the page. So we have this beautiful page. We have now got a test that all it does is assert the title, but that's something, and we had nothing before. What should we try and do next? Shall we try and this is brilliant. So let me just show you this for those watching at home. This test data is something that we have a script for that I'm not going to show you now for time, where it seeds these things with somewhat random data using Faker. So we do not have consistency to be able to just assert on a real value. So we're being challenged here. Are we not going to start with a failing test? Okay, let me snapshot. Let me make the test fail. That's a great shout.
And I was also just responding to that. Yes, I absolutely agree. You really should. And it's a common pattern I'm seeing that many people don't.
Brilliant.
So at least, in hindsight, if we can get to drive with tests, I'm even more for it. But as you've seen, this is also let's get things out, and we're not skilled enough to do approaches like TDD. So it'll just work, right?
Fair challenge. And I did it, and it can fail. Brilliant. So we're moving on. We have time check, please. 5 minutes, 55 seconds. Let's see if we can find one element on the page.
There's one question that I'm also actually curious about, because Paul asked, what are those slashes around Snack Shop as a title?
It's regular expression.
So
it will find. So actually, it will find Snack Shop anywhere within the title, but I think if we had other things in there, so actually I think we can do it differently. We could do it like this.
Exactly.
And it should still pass. What I'm not sure about is if we do it with, I'm not sure if it also makes it case insensitive or not. So now this should fail because I'm doing it as an exact string.
Yes.
And then now I'm going to put it as this regular expression again. I'm trying to remember if this makes it case insensitive.
Sorry. Yes, before you execute, I hope people saw the output as well. So it was quite clear. Now we see it again, actually. It was quite clear. Okay,
so no, it's still exact.
Yes, and we can quite clearly see where the issue is, which is always good whatever framework we use to have very clear expectations and reporting as well.
So interestingly, I'm not sure what the difference is there. Another time we can look that up in the docs and we can find out more exactly. So perhaps I was wrong, which is good because I always like to be wrong. 4 minutes, let's find an element. So what I am going to do is change the screen I'm sharing, which I appreciate at this point in the show is okay. That just shows the tab. That's not what I want because I need to show you dev tools.
No pressure. You have 3 minutes, 30 seconds.
Brilliant. So I want to try and find an element and assert against it, even if it's not a great test. Let's inspect. So what about this element can we actually assert against? Because we have not. So we have an ID in there.
And it looks like a generated ID, right? So, and nothing much else. And also the class here looks very generated.
It does.
Haven't I seen that in other actual real life projects?
Absolutely.
Maybe this is some feedback.
But we do, and there's lots of divs. So do we have a container that's useful? No, it's just a div. Divs all the way down. Okay, so we're going to need to figure that out later. That's good feedback. That means we might need, okay, so we could find this ID, but it's going to be very flaky. Exactly. So
on the other hand, so even if we know it's not what we want to end up with, this is also about learning and practicing and getting to know Playwright.
Okay.
So just for the learning aspect, we can do it. I would advise not to keep it though.
Yeah, we have an ID. So let's just see if we can find a way to find that in a few seconds.
Yes, and we also have another proposal from Paul suggesting the code gen. So this offers the teams an element picker. So we can also see if, so let's go fast the route you went, and then we use a last minute for Paul's suggestion.
Okay, bear with me one moment.
And that's also quite real life.
Apologies, the kids did come home. I hope I muted successfully. Right. Test. Find a snack. Okay, we might not have time to finish this, but let's see what we get.
Yes.
Async.
So as a commentary while you type, I'm very curious always how people work and who are more the type of persons to write things out and also to get it into memory and to understand what they write, and who are types of persons who would ruthlessly copy and paste and adapt. I have to admit I'm one of the latter, so it's very interesting always to see also good reasons for people why not to do it. So I learned a bunch about that also in the past. It served me well. So the async has a typo in line 10. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to load the page.
And we're in our last 10 seconds.
But now I need to get the ID again because I did a copy and paste. So I'm not going to have time.
That was it. That was it. Let's stop where we are, because we would also like to have a short reflection before we open into Q&As.
And I have 30 seconds more to do and expect. No, I think we're out. Okay, there we go. I found the I'm saving it. I found the element, but it doesn't have an expect. We'll just have to leave it there. I will be disciplined.
All right. So maybe let's just take one note before we go into reflection, which is definitely the main learning here. We need to properly structure the front end in a semantically meaningful way and get rid of the generated values here. All right. Okay. So thinking of brief reflection as it's often beneficial after pairing sessions, we have 2 questions to ask ourselves. So one thing to celebrate and one thing to try differently next time.
Okay, and I'll write these down.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. Lisi, do you want to go first? And then I will finish. One thing to celebrate.
So I think the celebration part is, although, yes, we prepared for it. Yes, we didn't do the challenges. We came across unexpected topics. So we did, it was definitely valuable to have that information now when we move forward and make our decisions. So thinking of like the pre-commit hook for linting, other aspects that we need to dive in further, what we just discovered in the front end. So I think that is definitely celebrate worthy, because it's good information to base our next decisions on.
Yep.
And I think a thing that I would like to try differently. So for this setup, we decided we're going to fix our roles to make it easier for a very, very first live coding sessions, but we aim to do more of them actually, and also continue the challenges and grow the challenges as we go, of course. So I think for the future, it would be nice to see if we can also swap setups in between. Because that can bring even more insights just based on what we use. So it can create meta learning on that level. Everybody does it a bit differently. Maybe we're using shortcuts. Maybe we're using tools or approaches that the other one didn't even think of. So that can increase learning quite heavily when it comes to the pairing part.
I like that a lot. And I'm just going to reflect on your reflection for a moment first, which is especially as we get other people involved, being able to get comfortable swapping is going to be really important, and especially for that meta learning. Okay, I will think and speak, then I will write a note. So to celebrate, I think I'm going to give us a big pat on the back that I think we both did incredibly well, keeping calm and keeping the conversation going and trying to describe what we were doing. And we never once got tempted to jump in and fix the code, and we focused on the actual challenges. I think we were very disciplined, and we adapted as we went along. And despite the fact we didn't have much time, I think we did really well not to rush and still got through quite a lot. I think we could have easily gone even further just in the first challenge. The fact that we even started the third, I love it a lot. I do love it a lot. One thing that we could do differently next time, I would love to figure out a way to get even more interactive with the group. We've had a lot of brilliant messages in the chat. We've introduced some of them, but for next time, I'd really love to find a way to add more deliberate points to pause and wait for some interaction. I think we could, as we practice this, we can figure out more points to bring in.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And here's also a great opportunity to give a huge shout out for everybody who joined in the chat. So thanks a lot for your sharing your thoughts, your commentary, your suggestions. It's very much appreciated. And it, at least for me, didn't make me feel alone or anything, but really we're in this together. As Ben and I shared, we're all learning here. It's not that we have all the answers, but collectively we definitely have more. And yes, Gunnar, this was the very, very first live trial. We also haven't practiced this in a smaller setup, so we instantly dared to do this publicly. So thanks a lot for having us and give that room and that space. Again, we want to do more of those in the future. And of course, we'll have a lot to build in our practice project. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity, but it's the very, very first shot.
And I'm really pushing, as promised, I'm really pushing up the code exactly as we did it.
Yes.
It's done. I can stop sharing, although actually I might keep it up while we take questions in case anyone wants to ask anything about any of the things. Right, deep breath. Okay. Very briefly, and maybe we can share them in the chat. Got some very friendly faces here. Thank you all so much for joining. I have been Ben Dowen, the full snack tester. We will share our socials in a moment. If you want to join along, there will be more of these type of sessions in the future, and me and Lisi will post about them enthusiastically when they are going to happen. We will also be in the future looking for various people to join in sessions, but we don't have anything set up yet. So there might be a bit of a long lead time, but do still feel free to show your interest, and we will keep you on a list for later. And yeah, please do follow along with the GitHub and the socials, and I am ready for questions. Lisi, is there anything more you want to add before we take questions?
So I just like to add a shout out to Ben here, because he gave me also the opportunity to do this together with him, and that's why we've thought, how about we instantly use the practice project we're anyway working on together. So thanks a lot for that opportunity. Also, thanks to Johannes and AskUI to having us here. And thanks everybody again for giving us this opportunity to try this out with all of you together. So it's been a pleasure.
Okay, so Johannes, do we have any questions yet in the Q&A or from the chat that you want to bring back up?
As I thought, nobody found the question and answer activity because it's well hidden. I think you managed it pretty well in the chat. There's one thing Marit said, for short session with changing pairs, I have really liked Zoom control sharing. Haven't needed to do that for a while now, though. Yes, it's also possible to use the live share with Visual Studio Code.
Yes, that can be useful.
It works really well. Also, there's IntelliJ, so a lot of IDEs have this now. But I think that's everything you covered here. I think you covered it during your challenge.
Okay, well, if anyone has questions now, feel free to either put it in the chat or put your hand up and come and ask it live.
So maybe you should stop the recording.
Sure, let's stop it there, and then if anyone has any additional questions, we can take them afterwards. So yeah, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.